Power Lunch on Power 98.7. Let's get into it. Friendship can turn into competition. I think that we were taught that by our parents as young people, but we didn't listen. Because when you're young, the only thing that's important is your friends and fashion. It's the two F's. Maybe there's a third F, but don't do it because you're too young to do it, right? And so as we get a little bit older, the kinds of competition in friendships will change, right? So as you maybe lose a little bit of weight, then your friend sort of starts getting jealous or saying weird things about who you are or what you are or what you look like, right? When friendship turns into competition, it could be that you studied the same course, but one of you somehow is doing better in your career. You're able to make more money or get more jobs or whatever it is. It may even be the single friend who's subtly dismissed by her married peers and child-free friends who sideline them because they're new parents. And let me tell you, as a parent, I think this is such a gross thing that parents do. But you don't have a child, Alex. So what do you do with all of your free time? How can you expect me to just show up to your birthday party? I have a child. I have an important thing in my life. Have you heard parents say things like that? I think that's so gross. Life goes on. Relax. You had your baby, and maybe you're having a tough time now juggling things with your baby, but you don't talk to your friends like their decisions are nothing. Their decisions are just as important as your decisions are. So there are a whole host of ways that comparison can really break the bonds of friendship. And today we want to unpack how and why friendships start to feel competitive, the psychological roots of comparison, and the damage it causes over time, how to shift toward affirming emotionally safe friendships where people feel seen and not ranked. Educational psychologist Dr. Nombuso Gama joins us right now, and you can as well on 0861 987 000. Dr. Gama, it's lovely to talk to you. Welcome to Power Lounge.
Hi, Pabi and listeners. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's talk a little bit. I don't know if we start with the definition of comparison. Is it purely competition? Is it about my self-esteem versus what you've been able to create, even though we've been doing the same thing? Where does that competition and comparison come from? Let's define that.
Okay. Comparison is basically your way of saying I'm not where I am in life, and so I'm going to project that to the next person. It's your way of saying I don't feel good enough in this space, and thus I'm going to compare myself to the next person. So yes, it is a self-esteem issue.
So it becomes a self-esteem issue of the one comparing themselves.
Absolutely. It's an internal problem.
Yeah.
So because of that, then you look for external forces to validate that problem. So that's why then maybe let's say you have friends that you think are below you, then that makes you feel better because now you are validating yourself externally to say, oh, I'm not bad enough after all. I have value. I am important. I have whatever, because now I'm using my friends as a yardstick for that. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I wonder, when you go through different life stages, how can that create emotional distance between yourself and your friends?
Okay, so one, it is to understand that life transitions, though beautiful, they do come with a host of challenges amongst friendships. So the volatility comes in the form of maybe some friends feeling like, okay, now that I have achieved milestone A, B, C, then I am superior to my friends, which then makes me feel like I am better than them. They are below me. So that's a certain level of comparison. And then, but still, even if we move away from that comparison, milestones in general do come with that volatility, because people have to relearn and redefine their friendships. So, for instance, let's say you were previously child free, and then your friend now is a mom. All of a sudden, now you need to redefine your relationship around the child and how you relate to your friend. And that can then present problems of, you're like, no, but we used to do A, B, C, D, E. And, you can feel certain difficult emotions without understanding that's you grieving the old relationship that you had with your friend. So sometimes the volatility, yes, comes from feelings of superiority, but sometimes it's just typical life transitions.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because we all kind of establish independence. Okay, this is a silly example, but the Spice Girls, right? So the Spice Girls, there was the sporty one. There was the young and cute kind of baby one. Then there was Scary Spice. And then there was whoever I've left out, Sporty, or the ginger one, right? And the reason why each of them stood out and had their own fan base was because they were so different to one another. And I feel in our youth, we do that a lot. You want to set yourself apart. You want to be yourself. You want to, let people know that this is my personality. Then at some point, it gets very strange. Why are we in competition? Because your goals are X, Y, Z, and my goals are A, B, C. We're not even playing on the same playing field. It's like saying you're so good at football and I'm so good at tennis, but I'm jealous of how you're so good at football. So what is it essentially that we are looking at in each other? Because it's not the skill necessarily. Is it the confidence? Because I know some people get really jealous and really competitive with people who just believe in themselves, Doc.
Absolutely. But also you need to understand that even though some people have different lanes, if let's say you now become more successful in that lane, then that success changes the balance of power in that friendship group. For instance, as you've talked about the Spice Girls. So that then can give rise to internal feelings of jealousy, comparison, envy amongst the others, even though they have different roots. So it's important then for us to keep on checking ourselves to say, am I still at the right place? Why am I really jealous of this? Is it because their success makes me feel a certain way about mine? Or is it because I want their success and I don't want them to have it? Or what? So you need to define that. But yeah, it boils down to the balance of power.
What drives people to undermine or subtly belittle their friends?
Just like that, like I just said, it's the balance of power, but also undermining and belittling friends has a lot to do with how you feel about yourself, and thus you then want others to feel bad or below you somehow, and then you can feel superior to them, because there's no healthy person that would thrive and find joy in belittling other people. The fact that you belittle other people is indicative of the internal war that's happening within you. Now, because you don't understand that it's a you thing, you then project that so that to say, okay, if I say there's something bad with you or there's something wrong with you, that I'm going to feel good about myself. And thus, I will then feel like, oh, maybe I'm better than you. So it's still an internal problem.
Absolutely. And I think we've all had that experience where a friend belittles you in some way that you actually can't understand. Are you really my friend?
Yes.
Or we just grew up together, or we just worked at the same job. Are you really my friend? Do you think that we use that term too loosely? Friends. Now, we've talked on the radio, Dr. Gama, with friends.
Please repeat your question.
I'm saying, do we use that term too loosely?
Oh, yes, we do. Because people treat their friends like acquaintances. And sometimes they prematurely promote acquaintances to friendship. So which can then create problems in how they relate with their friends, because they think, oh, I have this position in this person's life, yet that's not a mutual feeling. And thus, that can then create problems.
And you start to see that, don't you, eventually?
You do, especially how they treat you.
Yeah.
You see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you say a little bit more about how they treat you?
How they treat you, maybe let's say they treat you like you are some sort of competition. They don't value you. They give you backhand compliments, as we just talked about it. And then sometimes you do feel like they become nosy. They want to know a lot about your life. And you feel like, no, man, I'm not at a space where I feel safe enough to share this. And then they guilt trip you for not sharing that. Sometimes they mirror what you do, because remember, they are not really your friend. They are low-key a competition. And so mirroring then makes them feel like they are like you. They are you. Yeah.
I'm just having a giggle because I've had exactly that. So 2016, I was expecting my child, and I didn't tell anyone. I was on television even every day, right? But I didn't tell anyone. And fortunately, it was winter, Doc, so I could wear jerseys and scarves and cover. And I'd already, my body was a certain way, so you couldn't really see anything except the bump. So I kept that quiet, choop to myself. And then eventually at 6 months, you have to just say something. Otherwise, then you're crazy. So I said something. And this person in my life, who's still in my life, but I'm avoiding saying friends, I'm just this beautiful individual in my life, said to me, I'm upset with you that you told the media before you told me. And first she said, I want you to come to my house. So I'm like, I don't want to come to your house. I don't want to drive anywhere. I want you to come to my house because I want to confront you that I'm upset with you that you told the media before you told me. And I want to know all the details of what's happening. Like that.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, Miguel, do you understand that I am not arrested by you? There's nothing I have to tell you at all around this. And that nosiness, wanting to know what's going on, which I kind of equate to wanting to know when things are challenging for you because they feel better. They want to know, is this a difficult situation or an easy situation? Because then it makes them feel better. If you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Also, if we could probe further, was the reason why you didn't tell them part of the fact that you didn't feel safe enough to do so?
I think it's part of my being on the spectrum because I don't really, it doesn't matter to me. Do I have to send everyone an envelope saying I have a baby in my tummy? You will find out. Eventually there will be a child. So it's part of me not really being that kind of person, which they also really know. But, a public statement had to be made because I was on television every night.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it then goes back to the acquaintance friend conversation, because sometimes people want friendship privileges without investing in those friendships, because we usually share our deepest information with the people that we feel so emotionally invested with. So sometimes then the others will just hear from the radio, from the TV and stuff like that. So I think part of what that was part of what was happening with you.
I'm just trying to think. If I had a friend who I found out from another friend that they're, maybe I'd be a bit offended, but I don't think I'd phone them and want to confront them in my kitchen.
Of course, yeah. That was too much. That was too much. It actually borders on the competition that we talked about.
Yeah, I thought, like, why do I need to be in your kitchen? This is so weird. This is so very strange. But that's the thing about friendships, and when friendships turn into competition, and how some of these competitive elements come into a friendship, and also comparison, which I imagine is slightly different to competition, or are they like very similar, Doc?
They are cousins, because comparison is, I'm looking at my life and I'm envying your life, and I'm like, oh, I'm not at the level that this person is at, so I'm comparing myself to them. But competition usually is because you don't want that person to be there. You are actively doing things to kind of make sure that you show yourself as well there, and so it's like you are actively not, you don't like the person, but of course you want to associate yourself with them. So they are different in that regard.
Okay, that's very interesting then, because perhaps competition could be the underlying reason, but then comparison is then what you feel and act upon, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm thinking, if I feel competitive with you because you're a doctor and I'm not a doctor, the issue here is that I'm comparing myself to you. So when we have a conversation, I'm going to make sure I know all the jargon. I'm going to speak in a way that I'm going to show you that even I know,
Yes, but okay. So usually people that compete with others border on toxic personalities, toxic characteristics. But when you compare yourself to other people, that's more like something that everyone becomes susceptible to at some point. So let's create a situation. Let's say you are browsing through social media and you're like, oh, why are people living nice lives and me like that? That's comparison. But you are not, it's not like you don't want them to live their lives, but you are just like, oh, I wish I was at that space as well. But competition is dark. Because competition is dark, because then you start actively working towards bringing that
the
person
demise
down.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. Oh, that's really good to know. Especially if we're not talking about, for example, if it encourages us to both study very hard because we want to have our PhDs. And so if I ever want to quit, then, my friend goes, Chobi, we got into this, and we kind of encourage each other. If I get a B and you get an A, then I go, next time I'm going to get that A. Whatever it is, that can be positive. But if one is out to compete with you, they're actually quite dangerous. They could do anything.
Very dangerous. Exactly. Exactly. Actually, like you just said, we have a responsibility to grow from moments where we compare ourselves to others to say, what is this mirroring in me? Because I clearly like, for instance, that nice life. So what can I do to make sure that I also get there? So your low-key jealousy then becomes a messenger to say, hey, you like that. So try and work on it, work towards it so that you can be in that position as well. Yet competition, you don't want the person to be there.
Yes, exactly. This is very interesting when friendship turns into competition and how comparison can really break bonds, but also some of that thinking that happens behind the scenes of why you become so competitive with your friends, what happens when comparison starts popping up, and how to deal with that from either side, whether you're the friend who's being competed with or you are the friend who feels inside of you that I just want to do whatever I can to be better or to beat them. I must ask though, Dr. Gama, that person's not coming for therapy, or that person's not really like thinking about themselves and their internal world. That person has a mission to destroy.
Yes, they usually don't come to therapy because remember they project to other people. So they think everyone has a problem with them. And those are the people that usually talk about, oh, so-and-so is jealous of me because they are projecting to others. They project how they feel and then they think everyone thinks like that.
Hang on. If you say, I'm sorry, I missed that. So if somebody says so-and-so is always jealous of me, they're projecting their jealousy.
Not all the time,
okay,
but usually people that talk about, oh, haters and what, it's usually a projection. But of course, sometimes there are legitimate times where that is the case. But if that's someone's usual language, then it means that that's how they think about other people. So the moment they get outside, they think everyone is a threat. So then they are very quick, they're hyper vigilant and quick to say, maybe this one is jealous of me too. Maybe this one is jealous of me, because that's how they feel about others.
Sure, that's fascinating, because I'm learning more and more and more to understand that when a person calls you something, most of the time it's a confession or a projection of how they feel about themselves or their own outlook at the world. So the more we're able to internalize that, the less offended we'll be by anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's important for us to then say, is this a once-off thing or is this a character thing? Does the person operate like this everywhere else? Because if yes, then it's a projection
Absolutely.
issue.
All right, let's take a very short break and find out what's happening in the 1:30 Power headlines. We have Dr. Nombuso Gama, who's an educational psychologist, on the line with us. We also have some voice notes, and you can call in on 0861987000.
Send us your voice notes on 083-303-7093.
Good day, Pabi. Itumelo marangkuwa. Hey, now it's a kitty mara. Your different is a thing. I kitty go no pila no. Leba hotel lebona, lebelong hono kopanan lebona.
Yeah.
Maria friend, like I'm called doctor tableting. Hey, you're motuki chumiaga, it very loosely can need. Like no asatsepa motu can need.
And that's a tough thing, right? I mean, not to trust people anymore because this thing called friend is actually a snake, and most of the times, you know, what does that do to social circles, to the need that we have as human beings to be social?
Well, firstly, thanks for interpreting that, because
And did you see how smoothly I did it? I didn't even say, in case you don't understand. I'm a good friend.
Thank you. So, we need to investigate our default beliefs about friendships. So if you feel like that friends are not good people, it means that you will also subconsciously show up in a way that is not good enough to sustain friendships. You need to start by saying, am I using an umbrella term where I'm supposed to use it to one person, to say maybe Sipho was not a good person, versus then saying friends are not good people, because then you are preventing yourself from experiencing beautiful friendship, because there is beautiful friendship out there. But also then it then puts the onus on you to understand what makes a good friend. How are you going to know when someone is a good friend? So I can go back to our conversation about people that then become competition. Those are not good people. So you should be able to know the signs to say, why is my friend mirroring me? Why am I getting these backhanded compliments? And many other friendship red flags, so that you can lose your ties earlier in your friendship journey, which then would prevent you from making the conclusion of friends are not good people, because now you are able to identify bad friendship characteristics and good friendships.
Let's have a talk now quickly to Bongani in Norcombe Park, who's on the line. Hi, Bongs.
Hi, Papi, how are you?
All right, how are you doing?
I'm not so good. Can you please put on your mask because I've got flu? Okay, but listen, I want to share my experience, with a friend that we went to varsity together, and we graduated the same year. But he got the job before me, and also got his first car before me, first house before me. And you can imagine people that is hanging around, people that are earning money, and when you go out, he will make sure that you feel that you are actually, he makes you feel like you are a small boy, he's doing everything. Like now you are a university student, he's a worker. So I decided that no, I will just distance myself. But guess what happened? A year later, I got a job, and my career picked up very, very quickly. And then when I got a scholarship to go overseas and come back, and then now we wanted to revive the relationship, the friendship, because now I'm somewhat in his league or even beyond his league. So I just kept that friendship, not so close, because some people can bring you down,
can pull you down, no?
Yes. So yeah, that's what I want to share. That some people, I thought it's a girl stuff, to compete to that level, but even males, they do that.
Yeah, and I think that it's a very kind of tentative, sensitive time, that, right? When you're just graduating, when you're just finishing, when you're just getting into your first jobs, it can be a very sensitive time, because we're all now in different economic or tax brackets. And it's very telling if your friend starts making you feel like the ice boy because they have a car, right?
Exactly.
And then Bongani now, your friend's coming back to run to you because now he feels you're on the same level. Do you take him back? Are you friends? Is there a boundary?
No, I just keep the friend the way it was when I was an ice boy.
Okay, got you.
Talk, from time to time, Facebook, or call once in a while, but we're not so close and so tight like you used to be.
And you're also never available for anything, no? Oh my gosh, my aunt is in town. I can't come to your wedding. Excuse.
Yes.
Thanks, Bongani. Thank you very much. Your thoughts on that, Dr. Gama?
He actually made a very good decision.
Yeah.
Because this was not a good friend. It was all about their first leg of the relationship was all about, I am superior than you.
Yeah.
And then the second leg was now you have some sort of value. Let me come closer to you. That's not a good friend.
Yeah.
Friendships are built on deeper things than material things.
Yeah.
So he did himself a favor by letting go of that friendship.
And how about this treating him just like he was treating me when I was an ice boy for him?
Okay, that.
I love that personally, but I'm Petty LaBelle.
No,
I
no.
think that is fantastic. You wanted me to be on this level of friendship, then stay consistent, Chomyam.
Okay, that one is a bit tricky, but I will say kudos to him for removing himself from that friendship. But of course, he needs to revisit the idea of I'm now treating him badly because he treated me badly as well. That's where healing comes in, to say I don't need to prove myself to people that didn't see my value at any point. I must just let go and let him be, and I move on.
So are you saying treating him, meaning treating the friend who's been nasty badly, or treating himself badly?
Treating the friend that
Okay.
has been nasty badly.
Okay, yeah.
Let go.
No, you don't have to do that. You absolutely never have to go down to their level. Let's have a listen to this voice note that's come through, 0833037093.
Pabi
Hello.
Moloi, I think the problem is that we, especially for people that you grew up with, who have a certain picture and image of who they think you should be, and when you now evolve and become who you are meant to be, and they have a difficult time adjusting to accept this new version of you, you all of a sudden think you're better. And instead of saying, let me learn and also grow, a person now almost feels offended by your growth. It's unfortunate.
Oh, is that the end of it? Oh, I wish we could hear more. But yes, if someone feels offended by your growth.
This happens a lot, actually, because we meet people at certain levels, and if we don't allow them to evolve, then we are going to struggle, because people must always evolve. Actually, the problem would be if someone is not evolving in any way. So yes, it's very common for people to feel like, no, you need to come back and be the same person that you used to be, yet you are not that same person anymore. Yes, you have grown from that person. You once were that person, but you are a different version of them, and now you want people that are going to relate with you from that perspective. So having them constantly pull you down to say, no, come down to that space is actually dangerous for you as well, because then it makes you to come down and, minimize yourself so that you can keep those friendships. But also this reveals a lot about that person. It's a silent way of saying, I feel so bad about where I am in life because I have watched you grow and I have not done anything with my life. And as a result, I'm now trying to bring you back to the level that you have evolved from, so that we can have a relationship from that perspective. So yeah, people need to allow others to grow, but also when you are the other one that feels like, my friend has changed, they got this job and they became this person, the onus then becomes on you to say, maybe I need to grow so that we can be at a similar level, because we naturally gravitate towards people that we are similar to. So if we don't have anything that we're going to talk about anymore, then those friendships will fizzle out. So if you want to keep your friendships, then you need to always grow as well, instead of wanting people to not grow.
Let's speak to Stephen, who's on the line. Hi, Stephen.
Good afternoon, Pabi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Short and sharp. If you have got a friend that all the time when he tells you something, he will say, this is between me and you. Is it a good friend or a bad friend? But
I love that question so much, Steve.
Even if you want him to say that, I don't like this thing, because once you started by saying it's between me, that means you are my friend, but you really don't trust me. Is it her, that particular friend, that has got that you can now interpret it that means if I talk to him, he's also passing whatever we are sharing as friends. Friends share anything. So I just wanted to find, is it a good friend or a bad friend?
I took it in a very different way. I took it in the way that if I come to you and Tate Steve and I say, psst, it's just between me and you. Best believe anything I'm going to Nombuso and I'm going to say, Nombuso, it's just between you and me. So that's the way I took it. But let's see what Nombuso has to say. What an interesting take. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Nombuso?
I wouldn't say they are a bad friend, but I would say they are a friend that has been bent at some point. So because of that, they are very hyper vigilant around these things. So them telling you to keep things between the two of them is their way of ensuring that, hey, understand that this must stay in our vault. It doesn't have to go outside. I just need to be. You double check that you get that because they've trusted people before, but those people did not, they misused their trust. Your responsibility then as a friend is to reassure them, to say, hey, I got you, because they're basically saying, I feel unsafe, but also I do want to share with you.
Yes.
Reassure them, not only with your words, but with your actions. Like, give them that sense of, I've shared so many things with my friend, and they always keep them within our vault. Yeah. And then the disclaimers are going to go down, because now they will feel safe to share things with you.
How interesting, hey? Look at the point of view that I immediately took and the point of view that an educational psychologist took, right? Because I think so many things happen to you in life that you exactly what you said, your outlook becomes what's happened to you. Because how do you know anything different?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mina, I love what you're going to say. Hi, Mina. Welcome.
Pabi, good afternoon. Good afternoon to Dr. Nombuso.
Hi.
I just want to pick up on what the doctor said. There are also good friendships. I've had good experiences with friends. I've got quite a couple of friends. And my sense is that there should be no conditions in friendship. I should not love you because you're a doctor, or I love you because you've got money, or I love you because of something. I love you because of who you are. And what I do with my friends, I realize that we are honest with each other. They've got nobody threatens me because of their talents. In fact, I appreciate it because their talent is a gift for me. My friends are honest with me. They say, my friend, even if we wanted to go somewhere and look for clothing, we would not consult you because you're such a, I don't want to use the word dresser. So if I go...
No, wait. Because you're a top Shayela dresser, or because you don't really have taste or interest in clothing?
I don't have taste.
Got it.
That's what they tell me.
Got it.
And so when we go to functions where we've got to dress up, I consult them. And they know how to dress me because I know that's their strength. And also, I always try and help them to grow. I think Dr. spoke about growth earlier. So that we sort of at the same level. When they need help from me, I give it. And I've never had any of my friends, or they never gave me a perception that they're jealous of me. And I hope I have not given them a perception that I'm jealous of them. So friendship, we should grow with each other. We should share our strengths with each other and help each other. And for me, I can tell you 4 of my friends, we've been friends for over 30 years. So, yeah, when I grew up, my mother told me that, you need to protect friendship because it's a rare commodity. So I've always had that understanding. I don't take my friends for granted. And and they don't take me for granted.
That's a beautiful thing. Thank you for reminding us of that as well. That's a very, very beautiful thing.
It is.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful because it highlights the pillars that build friendships. Pillars of we have shared values.
Yeah.
Values that I appreciate in you. For instance, you are a kind friend, you are a thoughtful friend, you are a considerate friend, versus you have A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
Because if we approach our friendships, as she has said, from value perspectives, then the material things don't matter. If anything, they become an issue of, oh, my friend has worked so hard to get there. I'm so happy for them.
Yes.
Because you share similar values. Thus you are not threatened by the material things. And I like what she also said about if you are friends with successful people in any way, you have free tutors. Those people can teach you a lot. Instead of being jealous of them, use them to learn how they got there, because they are there. They are, in your proximity. You can learn a lot from them. They mirror this beautiful life to you, and they show you that things are possible. So don't let jealousy then come in the way of your growth.
Yeah, jealousy is really a very kind of useless thing on its own, right? I mean, if jealousy then wakes you up to go, I'm not doing enough, and then when you move, that's okay. But that's why I don't understand the difference between jealousy and envy. I think what I'm describing is envy, where it just makes you seethe and be violent almost. But jealousy could wake you up and go, but I also have a talent. Let me pursue my talent, which is a good thing. Okay, I've got a WhatsApp here. It says, hi. So me and my friend got distanced from each other due to tertiary education. A lot happened between the two of us. So she would ask for help from me money-wise, and I didn't have a problem with that at all. Until I noticed that we only speak when she needs money, and I'm listening to the sad stories of things she's going through. I told her, it must be when, I told her that she needs to stop telling me about her sad stories, because that's all we talk about. Since then, she has been quiet, and recently she had got a job, and I was so happy about that. So I'm wondering, what do we pick up from this? Is it about, obviously, I only talk to you when I need money, problematic, but I have a little bit of an issue to, stop telling me your sad stories, because that's all we talk about. What if that person is going through a lot of stuff?
So there's a thin line here. Friendship is a space of sharing. So her not wanting to listen and support her friend is problematic. However, if the friend always has problems, then maybe we need to investigate how she gets herself in those situations. What decisions are you making, my friend, that make you fall into these problematic spaces? Because maybe it's also a you problem. Do we need to take accountability somewhere and change our actions? But also at the same time, yes, as a friend, you have a responsibility, in quote to support your friends. But also at some point, you do need to draw the line to say, hey, I cannot continue supporting you here. I'll give you an instance. I drew a line at some point with a friend who kept on going back to an abusive relationship.
Yeah, that's tough.
I said, I love you so much, but I cannot sit and watch you suffer.
Yeah.
So you are either, I'm prepared to help you the day you say, I'm done and I want help. I'm going to be there. But if you are not there yet, I fully respect that. But I am not obligated to sit there and listen to that. So please don't share it with me. So there are friendship boundaries somewhere. So maybe the voice note highlights that boundary. But also if it doesn't, then maybe she needs to ask herself, am I a good support system to my friends? Or am I a friend that keeps on counting to say, oh, you came the other day, and the other day, then I don't have capacity anymore.
Yeah, I think maybe we need an hour for just that conversation because, if your parent has cancer and they're surviving cancer for 12 years, are you going to say, I've heard enough about the cancer, stop telling me about it, And it just feels like then there's no real purpose for our friendship. We can go out and have a good time, but when I really actually need someone to lean on, you're not interested in it. And that, sorry, like there's going to be a boundary and we'll probably not speak for a very long time. It's all good, Friendship is about that give and take, and it's very, very important. Let's see. Oh, this is an interesting one. What emotional and psychological needs are being met or being sidled up to when someone chooses to stay friends with people that they no longer relate to?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's emotional or psychological needs. I would take it towards the direction of trauma responses. Because this person is basically putting themselves in a space that doesn't feel comfortable for them anymore, but then they feel somewhat obligated to stay in that space. So this then says maybe they have been groomed to be people pleasers. So they put other people first than themselves, and thus they keep on maybe complaining about the friendships, but they don't know that they can pull themselves out of those spaces. So it shows more psychological wounds than positive things.
So that's very interesting. Along this entire conversation, the through line is definitely making sure that you spot the red flags, but the red flags also indicate some sort of red flag within yourself that maybe you need to start thinking about. Why am I allowing this? Why am I entertaining this? Why am I, when they kick the ball to me, I kick the ball back. What we were saying with our previous guy, right? You don't need to be nasty to them because they were nasty to you. And really take into cognizance how you show up in your friendship and in your world. I think it's beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Nombuso Gama, our educational psychologist. How do we get hold of you?
You can find me on social media platforms at Dr. Gama Psychologist.
Wonderful.
TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Well, thank you. And we will be in contact the next time we have one of these big earth-shattering relationship questions to answer.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Hey.